So will live proceedings of Supreme Court hearings introduce greater transparency, or could they lead to more showmanship, more disruptions of the kind that we see in Parliament? A man who argues both in Parliament and in the courts is Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, 3 times Member of Parliament, well-known lawyer, joining us now on this broadcast. Dr. Singhvi, what do you make of the Supreme Court allowing, with limitations, live proceedings of what's happening in the court being shown on YouTube? Do you think this will create greater transparency, or could this potentially lead to the kind of showmanship that we see in Parliament, where whether it's a judge or it's an advocate, they're trying to score brownie points because they know that they're being watched by lakhs or potentially millions on YouTube?
Well, I'm glad at least at the beginning that you have framed the question properly and in a balanced manner and also acutely. That is the right question to ask. I think the answer to that question at the moment, fairly stated, is that the jury is out on that one. But let me share with you a few parliamentary experiences to partly agree with you in the trend you are taking. You know, before parliamentary proceedings were televised, I'm not talking of actual parliament, this question arose. But it was not asked that directly, because it was felt that the temple of democracy needs to be seen in action by those who create that temple by elections. It is in that sense a much more directly relevant thing to do to live stream parliament than even the courts, because there are elected representatives of the people. However, over time, it is clear, and a lot of people have personally told me that, look, it is sometimes important to be seen as disrupting because our constituent back home appreciates us for that, lauds us for that, and we are seen even otherwise as standing up for our rights. So that is actually a confession made to me by many people. Now let me quickly end by giving you the other example. A separate proposal later on came, Rahul, not so long ago, I believe during Mr. Hamid Ansari's earlier part of the term. Why not also extend what is already happening in Parliament by way of televising to committees? As you know, Parliament at work is actually committee at work, or committee at work is actually Parliament at work. I've had the privilege of chairing the Law Justice Committee more than 10 years ago, and recently the Home Committee, which are important 2 committees of the Parliament. And let me tell you, I oppose stoutly, and I will continue to oppose any attempt to televise the committee proceedings, because the degree of unanimity, the degree of convergence you find in committees is humongous compared to the divisiveness.
But that could change very quickly the moment live proceedings start.
I agree with you in for committees. Now just coming to the courts, it may not be an equally valid extrapolation to say that because I oppose committees and televising, I should oppose, or you should oppose court televising. You see, the court is in any case a more disciplined place because there are coercive powers instantly. It's a judicial adjudicatory body, and there are contempt powers in addition. And therefore, it is not so easy to be unruly as it is in Parliament.
No, but I'll tell you what my concerns are. Let's assume you make an argument in a complex matter, and this is part of a longer flow. Somebody pulls out a 30-40 second clip of what you said and plays that out in some context, and that goes viral on YouTube. Now you can keep saying you can't really record, you can't really circulate, but things being the way they are on social media, if it's out there, it's out there. You don't know who's recording, you don't know what they'll do with it. You can keep trying to issue him a contempt notice, but by then that clip would have gone viral. And as a lawyer, or as the petitioner in that case, you may feel that you've been misquoted, or that quote is distorted, or that's not the full substance of what you were hoping to say. There could then be mayhem.
Therefore, Rahul, the correct answer is the jury is out. I think it's meant as a pilot project. There will be wait and watch, and the moment such instances begin to grow, the right to revoke must not be forgotten. So I think that's the important takeaway. Secondly, remember that very few contempts are what are known as contempts in the face of the court, by doing a dance or by shouting or by snatching. That normally contempt is of the other kind, civil contempt. So the number, even without televising, is limited. Number three, lawyers risk losing their licenses if anything like that happens. Litigants are far fewer inside the courtroom and they are in a more controlled position. But yes, theoretically it can happen, which is why the right of revocation after experimentation is there.
No, but now
But
let's
I have
look
a
at it
larger
from a
concern.
judge's perspective.
Yes.
Now, judges say
I-
many things as observations.
Yes.
They don't necessarily put them in their written orders. Now, one particular quote or a line said as an observation can be used, circulated then on WhatsApp in a manner that that judge can't control. It goes viral and the judge says, but this was said in a particular context. You're completely missing what I was trying to say. And then in that local, rural or even urban context, everyone says, देखो, judge साहब ने इनके बारे में क्या बोला? Look at judge क्या बोल रहे हैं इसके बारे में देखो.
Now, I think that is the crucial point I was coming to. That's the third aspect. You know, courts have one great advantage without televising, that absolutely free, candid talk is not inhibited. You do it to elicit information. When I say something to you, I'm not saying it to be hostile to you as a judge. I'm not saying it because I have made a preconceived, premeditated decision against you. It is to elicit. And in that heated atmosphere of the dialectics of give and take, you should say things which bring out the best in the lawyer or bring out the real issue troubling the judge. Now, both for a lawyer and for a judge, playing to the gallery in certain cases is one of the risks you take with televising. Equally, however, televising can have the salubrious and salutary effect that some of the off-the-cuff comments on both sides will be reduced. So as I said, the jury is out on this one. You need to see and calibrate how it works.
You know, the one advantage I do see is when lawyers want an adjournment because they are busy elsewhere, especially the senior most advocates of our all, and then they're saying because I'm busy in another matter, that will go down because the client, everybody else watching will say, "Arey, Dr. Singhvi to aaya nahi, kya hua? Where is he?"
Therefore, I'm glad you are personalizing it so much, but it doesn't apply only to me. But let me tell you that is why there is also greater accountability.
Sure.
But the point is, I think there are pluses and minuses. At the moment, the pluses appear to outweigh. But I do believe, of course, also a larger issue. I believe that the compulsion to conform, something which I believe controls all of us much more than external censorship or external pressure. Our own inner compulsion to conform. For example, my compulsion to conform to what I think you, the media, set a standard for me. That is something to be guarded against. We have to say and do what is right, not what we think the media should think is proper. We have to, and that applies to judges and lawyers both. And I think that part has to be watched, that people don't start having a compulsion to conform, just like people don't start having a impulse to play to the gallery. This, I think, will work itself out, but let me tell you, the ultimate tool is that if this goes out of hand, the power to revoke is very easy.
And I wanted to start this discussion with you because you wear two hats. That of a member of parliament, you see what happens around you in the Rajya Sabha, and you're arguing in the courts as well. Dr. Singhvi, for joining me on the top of the Newstrack tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.